Hi there, this is Keith Kelsey. I want to talk about how to cash flow the build of your own home. A lot of people have been asking me this, and I've been seeing it bantered about on social media for quite some time now. And I want to give you some insight on how best to do that. I've actually done that several times in my lifetime. Next week, I want to talk about how to design for a way to cash flow while building the space you need now, but having the space for the future at the same time. That has a lot to do with design and engineering. Today I want to actually talk about the process on what to build now so that you can kind of cash flow the build for the next several months, maybe even longer. There's two ways to do this. The first thing to do is to get your house, the whole design done. All your engineering, all your architectural done. First, of course, you'll have a home site selected and make sure you have all of that figured out. And if you can pay for the home site and then get your design work done, that cost is dealt with. Once you start construction, it's a different beast. But you can go those steps and then wait for a little while until you get enough capital to start the construction process. The next thing that you'll want to do is, of course, get your foundation down. Now, once you get your foundation poured, your footings, your stem wall, your slab on grade, whatever it may be, you can actually let that sit for a little while. It could be a month, 2 months, it could be 6 months, it could be longer, in order to get enough capital for the big move vertically. Once you go vertical and you start doing your walls and your framing, whatever different style you may be doing, it's kind of like you have to go to a certain distance before you can stop again and say, hey, wait, I need to recoup, get some more savings, and kind of go at this a little more later on. Once you go vertical, you have to factor in your roof and you have to factor in your windows. You can maybe let your sheeting expose a little long, maybe a month or 2 or 3, but it starts to go pretty quick, especially if you don't have your sheeting covered with a nice vapor barrier. If you can get that whole house framed with your windows, your doors on there, and you can have a vapor barrier on there, you can actually let that sit. I've seen a lot of owner builders and a lot of builders do this. They actually let things sit for a while until they recoup, get enough savings, and then they go at the next stage. One of the things to keep in mind is getting that roof dried in fast. Dried in means that your vapor barrier is on there, and it's going to last a long time. This is your big key. If you think your OSB can sit there for a long time and be exposed, you're doing yourself a big disservice. I've seen a local builder here in town, and he had a big garage he built, and he let that sheeting be exposed for almost a complete year. He never dried it in. He never protected it, and it went bad, and he had to resheet the whole thing. That's a huge cost. Drying in your roof is not hard, and if you can get that done, you can let things sit. Nothing's going to get wet. Nothing's going to get destroyed. It's all protected, especially if you put your flashing on there as well as your vapor barrier. I'm going to show you some technologies down the road that I found that can actually sit on the roof, protect the roof for a very, very long time. I'm not talking about your felt paper, this basically your oil-based paper. That goes within 14 days. It can be destroyed that fast. And I'm talking about the new synthetics that you can put on your roof. They can last quite a long time. Protect the roof so you don't have to come up with a lot of the extra costs to get everything done right away. If you can roof your roof and frame it and then hold it for a little while, you can. The only problem is that your plumbers need to come up through ventilation. They're going to puncture through that roof, and usually you want to have your vents to come through the roof before you roof it, so it's a nice clean look. So what I'm getting at here is that you can cash flow a build, but you have to do it in steps, and you have to know that if you're going to do one step, you have to follow it all the way through until you can stop. And I've seen a lot of people frame and stop framing in the middle of the framing, and everything goes bad. Your flooring, your subflooring, everything never is good to be exposed. Wood being exposed to the elements is not a good thing. As soon as you go vertically and as soon as you start getting that framing in, you've got to want to get it covered and protected as soon as possible. That's your biggest cost when building your own home. As soon as you go vertical with the lumber package and the framers to hire that, those two combined is your biggest cost. So when you do cash flow it, you want to be prepared for that biggest cost. Get all these other costs dealt with, your land cost, your design, your engineering, your planning, even your permitting. Get all that paid for, and then wait until you have as much as you possibly can to go vertically. Now, if it's going to take you longer than a year to build, a lot of building permits and building officials will give you a year to build. Well, you can go get an extension for another 6 months. So don't get sweated or worried that you have to get it done all in a year. Typically, most building departments will allow you to give an extension on that. So once you've got that far and you're ready to go framing, go the distance, get the windows, get that roof done and seal it up, and then if you need to wait a little longer, you can. That's the best way to cash flow on the build that you want to do. The second best way is, this is something that's kind of, I think, going to take vogue in the next couple of years. People have been doing tiny houses, and I'm seeing a lot of people move out of those tiny houses after about 2 or 3 years. It gets to be not enough room for them, especially as they're growing a family. Buy your home site, get it paid off, design for a complete home with maybe a small casita on the side. But create 2 separate permits for that. So the casita, or a small home, could be 400 square feet. It could be 300 square feet. Who knows? It could be something small. Build that first, very cheap, very affordably. Have it paid off in cash. Then, as you're living in that, slowly build the next build. To me, that's a really, really powerful way to go. You've got an additional rental or an additional place for family to come visit or stay for a long term. I've seen a lot of really neat plans where you've got a garage and maybe a loft above, a small unit. I'm building 2 of those right now for 2 clients. And they're small. We're talking just a few hundred square feet where you've got a garage below and a loft above. And that's very affordable. I'm building one right now for about $60,000. And they'll be able to move into that and have a garage at the same time. Meanwhile, they have their lot where they'll build their other home down the road. You can cash flow the build of your own home. You just have to do it smart. Take a lot of time to plan, take a lot of time to prepare, know exactly what you want to build over the long haul, and take that thing in steps and chunks. And you can avoid the cost of a lot of interest rate on construction loans, and you can avoid that 30-year mortgage. You can get into a home with maybe a 15-year mortgage that's much lower. So think about that. Think about the steps, but keep in mind, don't stop in the middle of framing. That is your biggest hurdle. That's going to be your biggest cost. When you're ready to do that, make sure you've got enough capital to get the distance you need to go. Hope that helps you. This is Keith Kalish with How to Build Your Own Home. Make sure you subscribe to the post here, or go to howtobuildyourownhome.com. I've got a very, very helpful 12-lesson step on it. If you're thinking on being an owner builder, take this free course that I offer on howtobuildyourownhome.com. Thanks.